All right. Are we ready to begin?
Let's give it just a 1 minute maybe as
Okay.
people are still trickling in. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Welcome,
A
welcome.
quick housekeeping. We are disabling the chat so that we can focus on the conversation. But if you want to ask a question to either the CIEE staff, me or Asia, or our alumni, you can use the Q&A module that's at the bottom of your screen. And you should be able to see other people's questions and answers if you toggle between open and answer questions. And you can also vote on someone's question if you're interested in prioritizing that question for our public answer. All right. Looks like we're stabilizing around 45, 46. So let's get started.
All right. I'll get us going here. Thank you everyone for being here. Good evening. It's day 2 of our really exciting week of alumni run virtual presentations at our virtual fair. We're excited to have you all here, and tonight we'll be speaking about our Spanish language programs with one alumni so far. We do maybe have a few more joining us in a few minutes. They may or may not show up, so just bear with us as we go through this program, but we're so happy to have you here, Mitchell. Thank you for everything that you're about to share with us. Before we get started, I am going to introduce myself. My name is Asia. I'm one of the enrollment coordinators here at CIEE. I work on the New York City and Long Island team. Very passionate about studying abroad. I had the opportunity to do it in high school and again in college. And I've been to some of the program sites where we run Spanish language programs. They're wonderful, and I'm so excited that high schoolers get to experience these in the upcoming summer. So Mitchell, I'm actually going to pass it over to you to introduce your name, where you went with CIEE, and what year you did it during school.
Hello, I'm Mitchell. I'm a senior in high school currently. I did Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I was there actually this past summer.
Of course. Yes, our students from the past summer are sharing with us this year. So hopefully everyone can see my presentation. I'm going to walk you through some introductions about CIEE. So for those of you who don't know who we are a national nonprofit organization in the United States. We've been doing this for over 75 years. Following World War II, we were one of the organizations that was born out of that time, where we wanted to provide exchange programs in other nations to promote peace. So we've been doing this for a long time, and we do support over 30,000 students every single year, from our high school programs to our gap and semester programs and our exchange programs as well. As I mentioned, we are a nonprofit organization, and we administer the largest scholarship fund for high school students in the United States. It's about $6 million every year. All right. This is the map of all of our program sites that we're running in 2024. As you can see on the screen, all of the sites that are circled in red are where we run Spanish language programs. I believe we have 7. I know you can see them, but I'll read them out just in case. So we have the Yucatan, Buenos Aires, Madrid, Seville, Alicante, Palma de Mallorca, and Barcelona. So many sites all across the world that you could go to study some Spanish language. We do run 4-week-long language programs in the 7 languages that are listed on the screen. For our Spanish and French language programs, we do have a 1-year high school language requirement. So students need to have some prior knowledge before they enter those programs. For every other language, students can be a complete beginner or novice, and will administer assessment and sort of match them into a level that will challenge them and help them develop their language skills. One really exciting element of our language programs is the homestay, and Mitchell can speak to his experience about staying with the host family in Argentina in a few minutes. We love having students stay with host families because we really see their language development grow exponentially, and they do end up forming really meaningful bonds with their family. Host families, often they end up seeing them again in the future. So great things can come out of those interactions at home. 1 month with CIEE equals 1 year of school. So we've seen through various statistics and assessments that spending 4 weeks on a language program with CIEE can equate to about the same amount of growth that a student might experience during a year at school, simply because it's such an immersive style of program, quite rigorous, a little bit challenging, but overall very rewarding for their language growth. Students also have the opportunity to earn 4 college credits through a language program. Those are given out by Tulane University, widely recognized credits in the US, and a well-known school as well. They also have the opportunity to earn a certification called the Global Seal of Biliteracy. For those of you who might not have heard of that before, it is a recognized certificate of fluency. So it states that your student is fluent in a second language, or maybe a third or fourth, depending on how many languages they know. So that's something that they can add to their college resumes, to their college applications and their work resumes. And it's just a great thing to have in your toolbox. Here's a day in the life on a language program. This is a Spanish language program, of course. So in the morning, you may be spending some class time with your peers, role-playing how to order at the restaurant. Then you'll take that out into the community. Perhaps you go to a tapas bar next door in this example, and you use those skills with actual locals. After those activities in the community, you might engage in a cultural activity. This one is attending a cooking class and making tapas. So still culturally relevant to the lesson that they were learning earlier in the day. And then at the end of your day, you might go home to your host family, tell them about what you learned, tell them the sort of vocabulary and sentences you've been trying to string together, and then you can continue some of that development with your host family. And they're there to help you, so don't feel too scared about sharing. It can feel daunting at first for some people. I do see a question about how long these activities usually go on for. There's typically about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of class time in the mornings, followed by a few hours of community connections, and then there'll be a cultural
I think it's 45 minutes, the community connection.
45 minutes, thank you, Pierre. Yeah. And then perhaps followed by free time or a cultural activity, and then free time, and then dinner with your host family. My understanding is that, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add, like, for having visited a few programs, it's pretty packed, the schedule. So there is a little bit of free time every day, and maybe Mitchell, you can talk about that later. But it's fairly busy. So you go from class to practicing in the street to going to museums and doing cultural activities and excursions. So it's lots of fun, but it's fast-paced. Sorry, go ahead.
No, not at all. Thank you for jumping in there. I see another question. It is, how would the student become fluent after just a 4-week program? Is a certificate given to every student who completes this program? It's a great question. The certificate is not given to every student who completes the program. They have to be at a certain language level and score a certain level on the post assessment that we administer, and if they score above a certain amount, they will be awarded the Global Seal of Biliteracy. So that's something we can get into a little further on in the process as well, if that's something you're interested in.
I would just say that everyone will get a certificate of completion after the program, so you can show that you've done 4 weeks of immersion, but then the global seal, like Asia said, is subject to your grade. And when we don't suggest that everyone becomes fluent, that would be an impossible promise, but it's more like the growth that you experience on program. Because we test students before and after the program, we're able to measure the growth that students go through. And typically a student who has no prior knowledge of the language is going to grow a lot quicker because he has everything to learn. And someone is a more advanced speaker will make still progress, but it will be on a smaller scale. But overall, what we see on average is that the average for across all programs, across all students, that they all gain on average as much as a comparable student would learn in a year of high school.
Amazing. Thank you, Pierre. I'm not going to take up very much more of your time. I would love for Mitchell to start sharing a bit more about his experience. So I'm actually going to pass it over to you, Mitchell. This is a slide about studying Spanish with some answers shared by some other alumni who traveled with us last year. So maybe spend about a minute reading through these answers, why they decided to choose a Spanish language program, and then I'll just pop to the next slide. And I can always go back. All right, Mitchell, take it away.
So, hi, I was in Argentina for my summer last year, and it was one of my most memorable experiences of entire high school time. And I was really able to meet a lot of Argentinians, get immersed with the culture. We visited a lot of cultural sites around the city in Buenos Aires. And one of my most memorable experiences was with my host family, actually. My host family is actually in the lower left-hand corner right there. And it was a really great time. I was able to use my Spanish every single day. At first, it was a little bit difficult to understand them at first. They were speaking really fast, and as the Argentinian accent is a little bit notorious, it was a little bit difficult to understand what they were saying. But eventually, as I kept listening and talking with them during dinner time, I was able to get pretty conversational in Spanish at the end. And also, my Spanish was helped a lot by assignments called misiones, which were basically assignments where we had to go out to the city and talk with others about different themes, for example, politics or art, or just in general Argentinian food too. And yeah, it was one of the most memorable experiences of my high school time.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions. The first one is, what made you decide to do a CIEE program in the first place? And then why did you decide to choose the program that you did specifically?
So I decided to do CIEE because I felt like it had the most options of where I could go to, because other programs would only probably have Spain. But I really wanted to see what Spanish was like in different countries, and that's probably the reason why I chose CIEE. And more specifically, I chose Argentina and Buenos Aires because I was actually fascinated by the Argentinian accent. I really wanted to learn their own accent, their own words, their differences among other Spanish accents. So in addition, I also knew about Eva Perón, and I wanted to learn more about the history of Argentina before. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing. There's someone has asked in the chat too, specifically, how many years of Spanish had you taken before you entered your CIEE program?
For me, I started Spanish in freshman year, so around 3 years. So yeah.
Amazing, thank you. All right, next question. Why would you recommend your CIEE location over maybe a location in one of the bigger cities that we offer, like Barcelona or Madrid?
I think Buenos Aires has a different feel. It has a mix of a lot of diverse of different countries. For example, there's a mixture of French, Spanish, Italian cultures within there. So I feel like Argentina has a lot of cultural diversity, although Spain does too. But in general, it felt really different to see the different. It felt really cool to see the different architecture styles together, and yeah, Argentina, in my opinion, is winter there, and I don't really like the summer too much. So partly because I went to Argentina was that it was not as hot as it would be in Spain because I knew I would have probably not survived in the summer. But for me, I knew that the winter was a better option for me. So that's another reason why I went to Argentina.
That's a great thing to mention, and something that I forget is that it is wintertime in South America during our summer sessions, whereas somewhere like Seville might be close to 100 degrees during the same session dates. If you are looking for a more intimate, sort of small style experience with the Spanish language, you might also find that on a program like Seville or Alicante, which those two programs are a little bit smaller, as well as the Buenos Aires program as well. If you're looking for that big, robust city feel, we do have larger program sites like Barcelona and Madrid that you could travel to as well. And I don't want to forget about Yucatan either. Let me go through some of the questions we have here. Let's see. Mitchell, did your host family speak any English? And then Pierre, you can jump in.
So it was actually a kind of coincidence because my host brother's girlfriend was actually an English teacher. So they did speak pretty good English. My host mom was able to speak a little bit of English, but not that much. But I didn't find myself really using a lot of English during my time there because for me, it just felt a little bit more comfortable and with them to speak in Spanish. And yeah.
Thank you. Pierre, did you want to jump in?
So no, we're just saying that I'm hearing back from Erica, so I'm trying to manage that together to connect with her.
I don't think we can quite hear you, Pierre.
Oh, actually, Erica just joined us. I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, perfect. Welcome,
Hey, Erica.
Erica.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. Are you ready to share some things with us?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We're gonna bring you right in. So you can share where you went on your Spanish language program and then why you chose that destination, please.
Okay. So
Do you want to maybe
I
move the
went.
slides, Asia, to Erica's slides? I think she has some slides. Sorry, Erica.
Oh, that's not my. I went to yeah, right there. Okay. So I went to Spain, Madrid, and the reason why I went there is I knew like Spain had like a lot of historical events there, and like the museums were like had like a lot of history, and I wanted to go see it. So that was like partially the reason I went. And then in the next slide, sorry, my experience traveling there, CIE provides group flights, so I was kind of nervous of traveling alone, but I got a group flight, and I was with my pre-leader and a couple people from the program, and we talked stuff like that. And it's very easy to like make friends. And then like after the plane ride, we just hopped on a shuttle and went to the like hotel. And from there we just talked, explained like everything, make some friends, and then we'll go out to explore and eat lunch and then come back and eat dinner and go to sleep. And then in the next slide, what does like a week look in CIE? Well, what does a week look in CIE? Every day you wake up from your host family and they'll provide you lunch or breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the lunch is always going to be a sandwich due to people having different allergies and preference. So it's much easier on both ends to have sandwiches. And we will be at school at 9:15, And then from 9:15 all the way to 12, we'll go to our activity. One of the activities we went to is to see the tourists and the big venue where they have like the tour fight and everything. And it was amazing because we got to see like the history of the suits of the people who were playing with the tours, and famous people, and like historical facts about it. And then afterwards, everybody could like go to the school or just walk around, and we get like lunch or buy something. And then class usually starts at 1:30 and it ends at 4:30. And then in the next slide, there's like kind of like known facts. It's like curfew is like at 10 p.m. And if you're late, there's like no worries, like just don't make it a habit. And you could just text your host family and or pre-leader of like why you're late, or if they you get lost, they're easily accessible. And then you could go anywhere throughout the weekends. You just need to notify your family. But in the trip, they recommended us to like spend time with our host family, which was amazing because my host family took us to like their friend's pool like twice, and it was like amazing because it was very, very hot. And then again, you could go anywhere after school because school ends at 4:30, and in Madrid, it's early there, so 4:30 for us is like 2:30. So we'll just explore and stuff like that. And like the food is amazing. And I went with my friend to see the art museum. Next
Okay,
slide.
really quick, Erica, sorry to cut you off. Did
It's
you do
okay.
the honors Spanish program?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool. So I just want to point out to everyone on the webinar, we do offer honors language, Spanish language programs. It requires that the students applying are at an intermediate or advanced level of Spanish already before they enter the program. And this upcoming summer, we're offering those in Madrid and also in Seville. So if that's something you're curious about, you can definitely look into that. I do want to ask, well, was there anything else that you wanted to add before I move on?
I think my last slide was just like, like recommendations, like people to drink water, like take water bottles is very needed, sunscreen, and like it's okay to be nervous and like your host family's family because host family's house because it's nerve-wracking, but just get to know them. It's very fun. Like I still talk to my host family and it's very amazing. And just like explore Madrid. Don't get afraid to get lost because again, there's GPS. You could text your peer leader, you could text your host family, anything you need. And CIE does provide maps, and like like the peer leaders will quiz every student. It's like, hey, how do I go back to school? Do I take this or this? And like it really like helps everything in that trip. And
Is there any, oh, great. Thank you so much.
it's okay.
Mitchell, is there any advice that you would recommend to students who might be wanting to travel to Argentina about either maybe what they should bring or what they should think about before they choose that program?
Yeah, so think about the weather there. It might be, although it might be summertime, it's going to be kind of cold over there. And also there, I don't know, actually no. And then yeah, just be careful of your belongings in Argentina. Buenos Aires, it's the same for Barcelona and Spain too, but be careful of your belongings when you're walking in the streets. Just make sure that you have everything. It's a very safe city, but you just need to be careful about your surroundings, and no matter what place you go to.
All right. Let me just check the Q&A for a second here.
I can help there. There's a couple of questions on how we screen host families, how they're chosen. There were questions earlier that I replied to in writing about are they getting paid? You know, if you could just give like a quick overview of, you know, usually how we work with host families.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So all of our host families are very extensively vetted. We have CIEE staff in each program site working with local authorities to conduct annual visits with these families and everyone who lives in the home, actually. They are unpaid. The host families are not paid, but they are given a stipend with which they can buy additional groceries because they're expected to feed your student when they're staying at their homes. They do come in all shapes and sizes. You know, sometimes you'll find that it's maybe an older grandmother and her cat. This is one example I remember a student sharing with me. Or it could be a young family with their kids. Or perhaps it's an older couple whose kids have already grown up but come back to the home for meals. You know, really any variation you can think of, it probably exists. And we want families to be aware that your student might be staying alone with a host family, or they might have some roommates, and it can really look any number of ways depending on where they're going. Anything you want to add, Pierre?
No, that's great.
Okay, there was a question.
Go ahead.
About the difference between an honors program versus a regular program. I see that you've actually answered that and shared it with everybody. You can elect for college credits either way. The difference really is the level at which they enter in their language, and they do maybe have a higher chance, not necessarily, of gaining the global seal of biliteracy on a higher language program, simply because they're already at that stage in their language development, but not necessarily. So I hope that answers.
The point really of the honors program is to really have a more challenging experience for more advanced speakers. It's not a more, it doesn't give you like a different, there's no different grading system, or just that students are expected to stay in target language at all time. They also get to feedback every week. We survey them every week to see, like, to make sure that everyone in the classroom is staying challenged. And they have to like sign a pledge at the beginning of the program to stay in target language throughout, you know, even social interactions and all the activities.
Yes, thank you so much. There was one thing I wanted to add that's now leaving my mind. Perhaps it will come
there was
back
a bit of a follow-up question to that, is that, oh, do the honors Spanish program get the same experiences as the standard Spanish? The answer is yes. So really the difference between the two programs is more like in the level expected of the students rather than the experiences itself. So usually what we do is on some of these bigger programs like Madrid, Barcelona, some can be pretty big programs. And maybe Erica and Mitchell, you could talk a little bit about that as well. But what we're trying to do is create smaller groups so that students are always in small class sizes. I think we kept class sizes at 16 students so that the learning stays interactive. And then students also rotate through activities so that it's not always like a huge cohort of students all at once in, the same place. So we try to, everyone will get to experience the same activities and experiences throughout the week, but it may be on different days. Can you talk a little bit about that, Mitchell and Erica, actually? Like, how is it? Talk about your group, like the type of students that you were with, the kind of group dynamics that were there. Like, did you make a lot of friends? Are you still in touch?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So in my program, I actually met a lot of people. For me, I was a rising senior, so I was able to meet there's a lot of people from different grades. There's freshmen or seniors, well, sophomores to seniors, and there's a lot of we are able to really come together as a community. And for me, I made a lot of close friends within my class. For my Spanish class, it was a pretty small class, around 6-7 people, and I feel like we were able to relate to each other, and really we're all in the same position. We're in a new country together, but as we're actually living through this experience together, and we actually get closer with each day that passes, and it kind of feels home with them after a while, after living with them. So yeah, I continue to keep touch with my friends, even though we live in Minnesota and Iowa. We still keep in touch through text, calling, and yeah, I made a lot of connections there, and I was really happy that I did it.
Awesome.
Same, because for me, well, in the school I had, because I was in an honors program, there was 4 groups, and out of the 4 groups, I made like friends with like 3 groups, And it was amazing because like we get to talk to each other. They knew places that I didn't know, and then I knew places that they didn't know. We just shared around um places, and we still keep in touch. Like my roommate, like she's from like Los Angeles, and like half of like across the country. So we just be texting sometimes. And then with my friend, like a couple of friends who are very close, right in the middle, stuff like that. So it's like an experience of like like I came up I don't know how to explain it, but I've been with that person for 4 weeks and it's very hard to say goodbye, but without CIE, I would never meet them.
This is something we hear a lot from our students. They have a very special experience, shared lived experience with these students from all over the US and sometimes all over the world. And these become lifelong friendships in many instances. So that's really nice to see. I did want to mention about the honors programs. If you do have a student on the call or on the webinar right now who happens to be a more advanced Spanish speaker, we do actually offer a topic program in Palma de Mallorca, which is taught entirely in Spanish. So it's a topic program, but that's conducted in Spanish. So if you have over 3 years of Spanish language learning under your belt, or if you are you just happen to be an advanced speaker, maybe you're a heritage speaker, you might be eligible for that program. So it's something it's worth looking into as well. Okay, back to the students. I want to make sure you guys share as much as possible.
There's a great question that they may be able to answer is which Spanish program has the best food? What's your best food memory? If each of you, can you think of one thing, like one meal you would love to like rewind back and have again?
For me, I would say paella. Like paella is like with rice, a bunch of seafood like shrimp, clams, and then there's like a bunch of Spanish seasoning that I don't remember, and eggs, green peppers, onions, tomatoes, and chicken. It was like the combination was so well. And we took a class on how to make it, and we also made like dessert. I can't remember the dessert, but that dessert was like it was delicious. So that's my 2 little favorite foods I love and I want to try again.
Awesome.
For me, I have 2 actually. One's a drink actually. So one is yerba mate. So it's kind of, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's a type of tea where you drink it. I really liked the bitterness of it. And it was a really special thing as you had this straw and like a lot of tea leaves and a specific type of cup you have to use. And we learned a lot of the traditions around it. For example, they would like share the straw with each person. They would take the mate. We were able to learn a lot about the culture of mate. And then another thing that I really liked was chocotorta. It was kind of like it's kind of like tiramisu in a way, but you soak some crackers into some milk and you make a little layer and you put on some dulce de leche, which is, I think it's kind of like caramel, and you put it on top, you stack it, and you create a little cake for yourself. And we actually made that during a CIEE class. And yeah, those were my favorite food in Argentina.
Thank you both. It's making me hungry. I see another great question in the chat that I would love for you guys to both answer and speak to. This is a question asking about how your trip to the destination was. So how were those travels for you guys? Do you feel like you packed correctly, or was there any information provided for what you should or shouldn't bring?
Yeah, so speaking to that, I actually received a packing list before, so I was relatively prepared for it. Although there might be like some mishaps. I actually lost my glasses case there, so I had to buy one there, but it's pretty easy to get one. And traveling there was pretty easy. I had a long travel day because I live in San Francisco, so I had to fly to Atlanta, and from Atlanta to Buenos Aires. It was really long, but when I was traveling, I met up with a program leader there, in Atlanta. And once we met up, we were able to board together, and traveling there was pretty easy. It might be a little nerve-wracking if you're traveling on a plane by yourself the first time, but don't worry, there are people to help you, and you'll be fine.
For me, again, like CIE, like when it's closer to your traveling date, they'll provide like a checking list and then if you get like a group flight and everything, the P leader will add you to like the WhatsApp group chat, and from there they'll text you. And if you have any like questions like checking in or stuff like that, or like what gate to be at, like they'll text or call, stuff like that. But going there was easy because I felt like I wasn't like alone because I had other people with me, and like the two pre-leaders who were there with any answers to questions.
What do you guys miss the most about each of your program experiences?
I would say like the people I met. Like I know it sounds cringy, but like it's true. Like the people I've met, my house family like downstairs, they had like a little convenience store, so I'll go every day, and I'll meet the owners every day, and it was so sad. Like, not I didn't say goodbye because it was strange, but like I was like, I'm never gonna see you again, which is sad. But yeah, I would say the people. It was amazing, and the food as well.
For me, it was also the same. I miss my host family. I miss my friends that I made there. And I really miss just the general ambiance of the city. I just really missed seeing the different type of architecture, getting to walk after class, because in the US I don't really get to do that anymore. But I really miss just like walking through the streets of Buenos Aires, maybe wandering into a little shop, maybe drinking a little bit of coffee before I go home. But yeah, I really miss my host family, and I really miss those little cafes and the general ambience of that city.
There's a question that was asked earlier in the chat and we didn't get a chance to get to it. It was about accents. Which accent is used in Alicante? I haven't been myself, and I wish we had someone who's been to Barcelona, because I know students in Barcelona sometimes are concerned about being in a place where Catalan is used as opposed to, you know, standard Castilian Spanish. Just wanted to clarify that all our programs really teach Castilian, which is standard Spanish, but that when all our curriculum are localized, meaning that all of the example that we use in the curriculum, all the role plays that students are doing, or the material that they use in the classroom to learn, everything is based off your location, which is really cool because then you get to see that in real life. You're going to learn about, you know, a graffiti artist that's like local, and then you're going to go in the street and see his graffiti around town, or a monument of the city and its history. So we do try to really make the curriculum meaningful at every level. And when there are big differences in accents or expressions, like that are culturally relevant, our curriculum will definitely try to cover that. But I can't really speak to how hard it would be to understand one accent over another. I don't know, Erica, or I mean, or even like Mitchell, like going in Buenos Aires, I imagine that the accent is very different from how you learn Spanish at school.
Yeah, it was very different because Spain has like an accent, like because I'm like a native speaker as well, but we never use that like the accent is like they have like a lisp, but I know because for a week we went to Segovia, and there I think they speak Catalan, and they just told us, hey, like if you guys feel like if you're like going somewhere and they're speaking in a different language, just speak Spanish to them because they also understand Spanish, but in that like place they mostly speak Catalan, but don't worry about speaking Spanish just to understand you. So that's like I kind of could say about that.
Yeah, for me, I was actually more familiar with the Castilian accent than the Argentinian accent. So for me, it kind of they used a different pronoun for the second person. They use vos instead of tú, and then the pronunciation of the double L's, they did calle instead of calle. So at first it was a little difficult for me to understand, and they also use a lot of different words from Castilian Spanish. So I remember I used to say autobus, but there they would say omnibus or bondi. So it took me a little bit to get used to the vocabulary there, but as you're immersing yourself, you'll eventually start to understand the different accents, the different words, and don't worry, they can sometimes they will probably sometimes try to neutralize the accent for you if you're having a little bit of trouble of understanding. But for me, I was able to really understand the accent in probably around 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll be fine.
Before we continue, I just want to back up and go to these QR codes that we have for you all. I'm going to back up here. Mitchell and Erica each have a QR code. I'll put Erica's on the screen for about a few minutes, and then I'll switch to yours, Mitchell. If you haven't opened an application yet, and perhaps you're thinking about going on a CIEE program next summer, you use their unique referral codes, you will receive $200 off your program tuition. So it's a really exciting opportunity to get a little money off your tuition and support your fellow peers in the country who have traveled with us already. So please feel free to grab these off the screen. All right. Someone has asked, did you ever get bored in class? Were the activities and classwork that you guys were doing always exciting? So maybe you can each speak to that.
So for me, class was pretty engaging all the time. So we had a teacher who would actually, for us to listen to more Spanish, he actually got us to sing. We even had a karaoke contest once. So it was actually really fun. I remember the first song we played was Color Esperanza. And at the end, we played that at first, and then he also played at the end, which is really nostalgic for us. And we were all crying by the end of that. But I would say all of the activities that we did in class were really interesting. So I remember we were doing a lot of presentations. We were presenting about the politics there, but we were also, for my class, we also did a magazine. We did a cultural magazine about Buenos Aires, and we had class to do that. And it was just really fun being able to work with your peers and just really presenting too. And overall, I think the classes are really engaging in general.
For
I don't
sharing,
know if
Erica, what
we-
about you?
For me, like, I was never bored, but we were tired because we would walk and everything. Because like our pre-leader loved to walk and like show us things, but our teacher, she showed us like new phrases like slangs in Madrid. Like instead of saying like "oh, qué chido," you say something else that's more common in Spain. And then every Monday, she'll give us a topic and like partners so we could like explore with the class. And then on Friday we'll present. I know one was talking about our culture because there was people who were Mexican, who were Guatemala, who were Portuguese. So like we talk about like each other's culture. And then one was like political, and because like our teacher was shocked that like books are being banned, stuff like that. So me and my partner made like a project of like banning books, stuff like that. We made like a hashtag and everything. And then the other one was about fashion. And then like our last one was like about like our experience in Spain and stuff like that.
There's an interesting question in the chat. I don't know if either of you want to take it, Mitchell or Erica. Have you ever been have you ever had a negative experience that you face on program?
I can speak to that. So when I traveled to Iguazu, I got a really bad bug bite. So I had to go to the hospital for a little bit.
Oh,
It wasn't, although it was a little bit scary at first, with the support of CIEE and the host family, I was able to get tested and see it wasn't like anything serious, because all it was an inflammation. But I was able to go to the hospital. Everyone supported me. My program leader went with me. My host parents came with me to the hospital at night. Came with me to the hospital at night. I only stayed there for like an hour, so it was okay. I just got everything checked, and although it was a little bit bad that I had to go to the hospital there. I was really supportive of everyone, and it's just that even things happen, right? And I felt that CIE was really prepared to help me through that and just get back in track really quickly.
That's good to hear, and I will say this was not rehearsed before this meeting. So thank you for the honest answer. Erica, do you have a horror story to share?
I don't, but I have like two minor ones and then like one from like my friend. Like, so one minor one is we went to like beach and like it was very hot and like I was wearing sunscreen, but I was also in water. So the sunscreen didn't last and I got like a burn like on my face. Like it was red. I didn't like it. And I talked to my pre-leader and she recommended me like she like, okay, let's go to this pharmacy. We got like cream for like everybody who got burnt because there were people who got burnt everywhere and we basically shared it around. And then another one is my friend. So her house mom was like a grandmother and like she was making like a fruit salad and there was like nuts and apples and she had braces. So she felt bad for saying no, but she was like, let me just eat it. And she ate it and like it broke her back brace. And she was so embarrassed of telling her pre-leader, like, and I was like, I gave her the confidence. We both went up to her, like, hey, she broke her braces. And like the pre-leader was like, oh yeah, we'll set up an appointment. It was like in the morning, so like by 3 o'clock, like she already had like an appointment to fix the bracket and everything.
Awesome. And actually,
Yeah.
you mentioned a very important word, which is program leader. I don't know if we talked about that as yet. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the program leader role and who they are and what you do?
Absolutely. Yeah, so for about every 10 to 12 students, they will have a point of contact who's an adult, who's typically familiar with the language that's being spoken wherever they are in a language program, or familiar with the area. And they are an adult that often travels with students on flights over to the destination. And then if the students need anything on the program, they can go to their program leader to ask them questions. Maybe they're just feeling anxious. I know it's a transition period, especially in the beginning. The program leader also will pop into the community sessions, community conversations as well to help facilitate during that time. But basically, they're your students' number one if they need any help on the program. So there's always a trusted adult, and the program leader will be in communication with parents intermittently to send you updates about how your students are doing. And obviously, if there are any emergencies, you'll be contacted immediately as well.
Do you want to talk about cell phones? That's a good follow-up question also.
Yeah, actually, do you two want to speak about how your cell phones worked while you were abroad? Did you have SIM cards? Did you bring your own phone? How did it go?
Yeah, so for me, I remember we went to the first day, we actually got SIM cards and they gave us data, we could call, and it's relatively easy. All we did was just change our phone SIM card and just make sure to keep your SIM card from the US because you don't want to lose that. But yeah, it's pretty easy getting cell service there.
For me, I just like changed my plan, but I knew of like many people who like got SIM cards or like CIE will provide like a cell phone with that same SIM card and they just like the student just needs to like have that phone for like communication with the pre-leaders, host family or other family members. And then by the end of the trip, they have to return it to CIE or like their pre-leaders.
Great, thanks, guys. Oh, a few more questions. You guys are doing great, and thank you all for the questions. One is about time zones. This affected one of you more than it affected the other, but did you have any adjustment periods or jet lag when you landed? And as a follow-up to that, when you arrived at the airport at your destination, were your program leaders waiting for you? Like, what was the first thing you did when you got off the plane?
I did well coming to my like to Madrid, Spain for 3 days. I did have jet lag. Like I was just like I felt so bad for my roommate because I would just be watching like Netflix and then like I'll go to sleep and then wake up and I was like so tired. Like I was just because I would not be sleepy during like nighttime. but like after the third day, I was like, like I got over it. And for the airport thing again, there is group flights for pre-leaders. I mean, for like if you're nervous with flighting, so you can fly with pre-leaders. But if you don't want to do that, again, like the pre-leaders will like put you in a group chat and like they'll text you like, oh, wait in gate 330 or something, and how you call it, you will always be in communication with your pre-leaders.
And yeah, for me, the time change wasn't as bad for me. So it was only 4 hours instead of 8 hours in Madrid. But so for me, I actually traveled alone to Atlanta. So you can meet up there's a specific city where you can meet up with program leaders, and that was Atlanta. So you can either fly alone to your destination, as Erica said, but for me, I met up with my program leader in Atlanta, and we just went together. And yeah, we met up with the site director at the airport right after arrivals, and they just took us to the CIEE building right after.
So now you're a few months out of your program, and you've had some time to reflect on your experiences. What have you guys really taken away from those times abroad? What are you carrying with you today from your Spanish language programs? You can take a few seconds to think about it too.
I feel like for me, like once I came back, I felt like a new independence because like Madrid is like New York, like it's a city and stuff like that, but it's way clean. Like I was surprised, and like the people are are so nice. Like one of the challenges we have to do is like we to ask some like a Spaniard person like a question like what's your favorite movie, or like where do you like to go for vacation? And all of us were like, we're nervous because like we're like, no, but like what if they say no? What if they're rude to us? And they're like, nope. Like here, everybody's very, very nice. If you ask politely, they'll respond politely back. And if they don't have time, they'll say, I'm so sorry, I can't today, but and have a nice of your day. And it was like, how you call it? It was very easy, and like, it gave my independence, stuff like that. And like I want to go back again. Like studying abroad made me realize that I do want to like study abroad in college, and CIE does provide that, and also like other colleges as well.
For the plug, Erica, yeah, we do have semester abroad programs and gap programs. If you're curious, we'd be happy to answer those questions. There was a question that I just answered in the chat, but that I would like you both to speak to about your individual experiences. It was, do you have roommates with your host family? It totally depends on our programs. You might have a roommate in your host family, you might not. Did you guys have any roommates?
Yeah, so I had a roommate with my host family. We shared a room, but it was really I was with my roommate. We shared the same sleeping schedule, and yeah, CIEE does a good job with finding you a roommate if you need one. But you can also ask to be in a room by yourself too. I know friends who have gotten a solo room with host families, and yeah, you can really indicate it in your preferences when you're applying.
For the same, I got a roommate as well, and I get like CIE, like it matches. Like we bounce each other's energy, and like it would be very funny like having the conversations with her. And I again like my friend like he was like solo with his host family, stuff like that, and he like loved it, but at the same time he's like, I want a roommate, like just to talk to, stuff like that, because again my roommate knew places that I didn't know, and I knew places my roommate didn't know. So it's better to have like a roommate just like you're not in this by yourself, and you have someone to like talk to as well in the same room. Just be like, hey, you want to go get ice cream? Like, oh sure, like stuff like that, and like go more outside.
Yeah, totally. Sounds like you both had great roommate experiences. We do our best to match students up with whatever preferences they indicate on the application, like Mitchell mentioned. So mention anything you think it's worth us noting, and we'll do our best to accommodate them. I do also know some language students who were completely adamant about being alone with their host family so that they could get as much language exposure as they possibly could. So there's there's something for everybody out there, and we'll do our best to get you the sort of experience that you're looking for. I see that someone's asked, is it always host families that you stay with? Because I saw that some CIE students were placed in hostels. In some program locations, like I believe in Taiwan last year, there were maybe hotels or hostels. This could be for a number of reasons. I mean, following COVID, we're still getting some program sites up and running again. And if you have a specific question about a site that you're looking into, you can email us at hsabroad@ciee.org, and we'll find out what that accommodation is for this upcoming summer.
Madrid.
Oh, was this the question? It should be a homestay, but I can confirm it with you and get back to you if you email us.
So for the dates of session, always on the website. It's best that you refer to the website for program details. I'm trying to get an answer on that question that someone asked about the accent in Palma. We have someone who's lived in Palma on the team for a long time, so I was asking her, but I'm not getting an answer. So I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure that you would get by with your standard Spanish. But there was a question about the CIE building, what it's like the place where you took classes. Do you want to talk about that, Erica and Mitchell? Usually our centers, I will say that our centers are usually very centrally located. But then every center can have a different flavor, but usually it's very centrally located and you can do excursions and visit right from the center. So if you want to talk a little bit about that. Go ahead, Erica.
Yeah, there was two centers, like again, like in Madrid, there was an honors program and the regular program. And I know in the regular program, it was like right in the middle of Madrid. And for the honors, it was kind of like entering Madrid. And it was very nice again, because like depending where you are, like Madrid, they really embrace their ogo culture, not ogo culture, like they love vintage buildings, stuff like that. So when you like enter for like the honors program in Madrid, it was like I don't know how to explain it, but it was like a business apartment thing. We were in the fifth floor, there was stairs and elevator, and when you enter, there's usually a keypad. If it's locked, which is rarely, they'll provide you a code, and then you enter, and then like there's the bathrooms, and then like Coco will greet you, like whoever's there will greet you, and then you go to your classes or you talk to your friends.
And yeah, for me, my center, we were pretty well located. It was actually pretty close to my host family's house too. It was only a 15-minute walk. And we were also close to the subte, the subway system, and it was pretty easy to get around. There wasn't that much trouble finding buses, and it was a really good location.
Okay, great. We're just coming up on the end of the hour. Thank you everyone for participating. Just some last details that I'll mention before we conclude for the evening. Our team is running a free flight raffle. So if you would like the chance to maybe win a free flight, you will have to submit your application by December 1st. So definitely something to keep in mind. It's already the 14th of November, which is hard to believe. I mentioned earlier that we award more than $6 million every year in scholarship funds. So if your family requires financial aid to travel, please apply for one of our scholarships. There are two options, and you can find out more on our website. And if you missed the December 1st deadline, our true scholarship deadline is January 24th. So all applications for scholarships need to be in by that point. I believe on this last slide here, we have just a QR code to more virtual sessions that we're running.
Yeah, you can
16th.
Check out the session there. There are some sessions fully dedicated to the homestay experience. So while you're here, from students from different locations, what their host family experience was like in different parts of the world. So don't miss out on those sessions if that's something that you're interested in. And then we'll do also a session, I believe it's tomorrow, on fundraising best practices. which can come in handy because even if you do get a full scholarship with our programs, the cost of the flight is always on you. So any student can benefit from fundraising tips. So check out the full schedule. There's plenty of opportunities to learn more, connect with other alumni, and see what other families are asking. Sometimes it's kind of fun to see what other people are wondering about too.
Totally.
Thank
The
you so much.
fundraising
Yeah.
session is tomorrow at 8 p.m. So maybe we'll see you back online. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Mitchell and Erica, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
It
you
was
for
great to
having
have you.
us.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's a wrap. Thank you so much. Did a great job.